marvelous Friday. I know it's a little hot, but please make sure to stay hydrated, stay cool, do what you need to do, and I hope you enjoy this workshop. So today is May 8th, and I just want to welcome you to Growing Prevention. I just want to remind you as well that this workshop is being recorded. And this workshop is sponsored by BHS South Bay Prevention and is in partnership with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, ADAP, Asian American Drug Abuse Program, LA County Friday Night Live Partnership, and South Bay Communities Creating Change. So Growing Prevention is an online workshop series via Zoom designed to develop substance abuse professionals, community members, elected officials, law enforcement agencies, and parents on topics that will enhance their careers, communities, and homes through education, connection, and resources. And once again, I forgot to introduce myself, but I'm sure you're bored of seeing my face. My name is Minor Borjas, and I work with BHS South Bay Prevention. And so today's workshop is titled Results versus Service-Oriented Leadership, and it's held by Sergio Paz, and I'll be reading his bio right now. So Sergio Paz is a proactive community leader and youth advocate with an extensive 25 plus years of experience in the areas of substance abuse and violence prevention, community organizing, leadership program community development, mentoring, and more. Sergio is currently focused on leadership development and continues to provide his experience to audiences throughout California and where needed in English and Spanish. Sergio Paz has been extensively recognized by local, county, state, federal, and international organizations for his work. Most recently, Sergio was teaching a 10-month classroom leadership course for Youth Build for youth ages 16 to 24, and is currently serving as president of the Lennox Coordinating Council, LAX Advisory Committee representative for the LAWA Community Benefits Agreement, vice chair of Connected to Lead and various other groups. Sergio has served as vice president of the California Prevention Collaborative, president of the LA County Commission on Human Relations, secretary general for the World Culture and Sports Foundation, worked in Haiti, and created and operated his own nonprofit teen center in Lennox. So without further delay, I'm gonna give it off to Sergio Paz. Please give him a round of applause. You know, use the reactions, do what you need to do, but please celebrate Sergio Paz.
Thank you, Minor. I mean, that sounds like a real pumped up and trumped up bio. No, but I've been blessed in having the opportunity to learn from so many great people that have taught me what I know now. And I guess I'm at that point in my life where I'm able to share what I know, share my knowledge, and hopefully spread the message about goodwill and spread the message about people helping people. And any opportunity that's given to me to be able to share my experiences, I attempt to take. So thank you again for that introduction, Minor. So today we're going to have a little, hopefully a conversation, a chat. I'll present some information to you. Hopefully it would be of good use to you on what we're calling results versus service-oriented leadership. And you know, what it is, what it isn't, perhaps, and perhaps some ways that you can improve your leadership style for not only for yourself, but for your organization. So I've broken it up into various categories. We'll try not to make it too boring or too wordy. I'll try not to use any acronyms actually for this. So that you know, we can have a better flow. If at any point during the information sharing you have a comment, a question, feel free to type it in, and we'll attempt to get that answered during the presentation. But we will have a portion at the end of the presentation to offer Q&A. But we'll basically go through various sections at the end of every section that I've put together for you. We'll have an opportunity to answer some questions if there are some questions with that. So we'll be going through defining results-based leadership, the benefits of such, also defining service-based leadership in the context of what we're discussing today, the benefits of service-based leadership, your leadership style, And then of course balancing results versus service, and taking into consideration your employee's perspective, and ensuring that you are leading for results versus service in the context, and I'll go into that a little more. And then of course, learning to hopefully keep all that in mind while you're working and establishing a balanced leadership style, so that you can ensure that you're getting the best results from whatever it is that you're putting forth. And also considering embodying leadership in a qualitative and a quantitative way. And this is my pet peeve in not-profit, especially in working with youth or wherever we have a client that is being served, is that for some reason, so many organizations focus more on the quantitative data, filling those numbers, rather than the qualitative data or the quality of service that's being delivered. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then of course, we'll look at some other ways that you can empower your staff to provide the best service possible, exemplary service. And then of course, we'll have a brief conversation, and we'll go through a logic model together about how you can work on retention, whether it's retention of your staff, retention of your clients, your youth participants, whoever it might be. You can tailor it to whatever area of or field that you are in, so that you can work on retention during this COVID-19, this pandemic, so that you're response ready, and that, you know, if it ever comes up again, that we are ready. And of course, hopefully implementing this in your work today. So that's pretty much it. And then we'll close it off with a very, very short video. And then again, hopefully we are generating some questions throughout, and some, you know, anything that you might be curious about learning more of, feel free to email me, and I'll provide my contact information at the end of the presentation. So with that being said, we'll dive right into it. Results versus service-oriented leadership. There's a lot of questions about what that is, but in order for us to set the mood, I want you to consider.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sergio, are you sharing your PowerPoint right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Keep going.
Yeah. So in order for us to set the mood, I mean, I do want you to consider, it's not a quote, but it's more of a statement, but I guess it could be considered a quote. You know, share your thoughts, type your message on how you feel about it. We'll just spend a couple minutes on that. But this is what this says. If serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. If serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. So what do you take from that? Reflect on that statement. What do you take from it? What does it mean to you? Let's get a couple responses. If serving is below you, leadership is beyond you.
Feel free to raise your hand. They're coming in. So Yolanda says, if you are too good to serve, you can never be a leader.
Okay, very good.
Gloria says, I feel it means that you need to be involved with who you're leading, or you won't be a good leader.
And we do have Stephanie Zapata that can't lead well without serving. So Kung Fu brings to mind the concept of servant leadership. I love that you're already thinking ahead of me. Adriana Kelly, one must always be ready to learn. Christy Lloyd, if you cannot be a servant first, you cannot set the example of leadership. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think we're all on the same page now. Leadership is services, service. As a leader, you have to have a sense of humility and empathy in order to be effective leader, effectively lead others, by Yvonne Tiffer. Right on point. That's exactly what it is. There is a quote that says, you cannot lead unless you learn to serve. So, you know, you shouldn't expect anyone to do anything that you haven't yourself done or are willing to do. So that is exactly on point. I think it's a beautiful way to teach leadership to our young people, and of course adults as well. I mean, leadership is something that we're always learning. It is something that we're not only embodying and instilling on our staff and our peers and on ourselves, but it's something that we can transcend and help others become better versions of themselves. And of course, Clint, where leading is always a big picture and thus has to be tied to service to others if it's about you. And so, yeah, great. I love all of your responses, and we'll get right into it. Hopefully that has started to kind of steer you in the direction of what we're going to talk about what service is in two different ways. When we think about service, we not only think about the service that we're providing to others, but are also the product, which is the service that you're rendering to your clients or to your participants, whether they're youth or adults in whatever it is that you're teaching or conducting or trying to get out of with your organization. So what is the results-based leadership in the context of us? Results-based leadership has a relentless emphasis on producing results. So think of results as quantitative, right? Because we got to ensure that we fill those numbers. We got to ensure that we fill those slots in order for us to fulfill our deliverables with any grant or any program that we said we were going to have. Think of results-based leadership also in the context of a formulation or an equation, if you will. In order for you to have effective leadership, you have to have attributes, right? You have the quality or qualities of leadership, or such as, right, you're being flexible, your charisma, your sense of humor that you bring into your leadership style. And you have to also look at your cumulative results in order for you to have effective leadership. So this equation suggests that leaders must strive for excellence in both terms. That is, they must demonstrate attributes and achieve results. Each term of the equation multiplies each other. So it's not a cumulative. It's not adding up, your attributes and your results. It's actually multiplying each other so that you embody and start to show effective leadership. And we'll go in a little bit about that. So there are many benefits actually to to results-based leadership. By helping leaders at all level get results, results-based leadership frees your productivity from any types of constraints or hierarchy and the limitations of a position. A lot of times you have staff or individuals or even maybe some of your board of directors who are limited by their position on what they can do or what they are willing to do. But by helping leaders at all levels get results, we start to free them from those constraints. Results-based leadership, or results-based leaders, I should say, define results by understanding that stakeholders and clients have needs, and that they continue to ask that question about what is wanted, what is it that they want from you, and your question is what before you decide how to meet those needs, you got to decide how you're going to do it and how you're going to best fill that need. Your employees willingly follow results-based leaders who know both who they are, of course, and knowing who you are is understanding and knowing your own leadership attributes and where they're going, their targeted results. They have a very delineated way to get where they're going, and maybe from A to Z already, or maybe not. And it's just as long as they have an end result, they know where they're going to go. Not necessarily how they're going to get there, but they already have some sort of a plan. Results-based leadership makes performance measurement easier. Without a results focus, or calibration of leadership becomes very difficult. Because you really don't, you're not able to quantify the information or the data when you're doing your evaluations. So measuring results really helps organizations in many ways, from tracking leaders' individual growth, comparing leadership effectiveness, tracking your leadership development programs, and of course using your results as a standard to filter who should be part of your organization, whether it's staff or board members and what have you. And of course, understanding that in filtering who enters your organization, that they would possibly require training in order to understand your concept of results for your organization and the expectations of such. Any questions to that point? I know it's a lot to absorb, and I'm going to try not to bore everyone with it, but
Hi, Sergio. We have a question in the chat. So
yes.
someone asked, is it possible for you to share your screen or like a PowerPoint?
Okay, as soon as I get to that portion, I will share that PowerPoint, so that, because yeah, I mean, you're right, it's definitely a little wordy. Let me see if I can open that up real quick.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, so I'll find it in a sec, but then of course we're going to go into what is service-based leadership, and of course someone hit it right on the nose. Service-based leadership is based on the concept of servant leadership, a leadership philosophy in which the main goal is to serve people, and of course leadership philosophy in which is different from traditional leadership, where the main focus is to focus on results. A servant leader shares the power, puts the needs of the client and their staff first, and helps to develop and perform as highly as possible. Servant leadership also inverts the norm, where it puts the outreach workers as a main priority. Your outreach workers are always on the front lines, and those are the folks that your clients see first. And if they're not providing the best possible service per se, whether it's because of their own personal leadership style or their own way that they present the product that it is that your organization has, not a physical product, but rather a service or what have you, that you're ensuring that your frontline outreach workers are doing it in a way that is meeting the expectations of the organization. And of course, understanding that the leader exists to serve the people. And that's what in service-based leadership, under the philosophy of servant leadership is. But also keep in mind that we're gonna look at it, consider it in both ways. Not only consider it as you as the servant, but also consider the service that you're providing to your constituency, to better have an impact on, of course, your results. Let me bring this up here so that I can share my screen with everyone. And can everyone see the PowerPoint? Can you see that, Minor, by any chance?
No. Did you click the share screen function?
Yeah. Let me.
Is it open? Did you open it first? Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. I'm sure that everybody can see it now. Let's.
Yes.
You can see it.
Okay. Okay, so again, I mean, just, folks hit it right on the head about that having a connection between the servant-based philosophy. And again, think about it in both ways, whether it's the service that you're rendering as an organization to get the results, or this, you yourself serving to ensure that you get the results, and serving the people when the people come first. So there are some definite benefits to service-oriented leadership. When your leaders shift their mindset to qualitative rather than quantitative and serve first, your employees acquire that personal growth while the organization grows as well, due to the commitment and engagement that your staff has towards whether it's your organization and ensuring that they're meeting your needs and also meeting the needs of the client. When you look at things from a service-based model, you boost morale. And I think for a lot of nonprofits, morale seems to be what drives that, that revolving door of staff coming in and coming out from your organization. You want to make sure that your employees feel valued and that they know that you're looking out for them, and that inspires them to work even more and harder, and provides a better service to your clients, customers, participants, what have you, however you want to call them. And you got to make sure that you have an emphasis on a collaborative decision-making process in the workplace to ensure that service-based leadership takes a hold, and it builds a culture. And we'll talk about culture, not in depth for this, because that could be a whole topic in itself, when it comes to building a culture for your organization to ensure that you have the best type of or the best possible service for your client. Benefits of service-based leadership also, I mean, you can't speak too much of not having employee loyalty. You want to make sure that your staff is loyal to the organization and will back your organization every step of the way, and always speak good of the organization regardless of ups and downs that you might be experiencing. That's very important as well. It builds a very strong and a very cohesive culture. You get more productivity out of your staff, at the end of the day, who benefits more from the best quality of service that you're providing, the best quality of service that you're rendering? And that's always something very important to consider, because if you're not providing the best quality of service, you're not going to have return customers, right? Your clients are not going to come back to complete the service that you've initiated and started for them. And all that, and all that being said, all this leads to retention, most importantly, of your staff. But this also leads to retention of that client, of that customer, to come back for more. You have that young person who comes back and participates and volunteers for your organization because they're enjoying it and because they know that their ideals, their ideas, and their service is being valued every step of the way. So there's so much when it comes to the benefits of ensuring that you're looking at a service-based leadership model. And then, of course, what starts to come into play is your own leadership style. And how do we balance results versus service? If you're constantly focused on the quantitative side in achieving results for your organization, how do you bring in and service and constantly think about service while you're thinking of getting those results? So we'll talk a little bit about that. So generally, leaders fall into these two different camps. And the results-oriented manager focuses primarily on efficiency, the deadlines, right, to the grant, the deliverables, whatever you want to call them, and the budgets. The service-oriented manager focuses on the people and whether they're happy and fulfilled in their work that they're doing. So you want to make sure that results-driven employees, or not make sure that they're results-driven employees, but this is what results-driven employees want their manager to do and to have. Results-driven employees wants their managers to have a plan. They want their managers to get things done. They want to make sure that there's follow-through, and that they're staying on course, and that they're being decisive. If something is that the train is in motion, things are happening, activities are taking place, there's a decision that needs to be made to make a change, that those decisions or those responses that your staff is getting are quick and balanced. So results-driven employees also want they want to have the belief in their manager that that if you do your job, we believe in you, and or that you as a manager believe in them and believe in their skills to make things happen. In contrast, the more service-driven an employee is, the more they want their managers to be kind, to interact with them, be considerate. I'm sorry. And so you want to make sure that that you're interacting with your staff in a positive way. Make sure that you are asking for needs. Along the way, your staff is gonna need whether it's tools of the trade, materials, what have you, to get the job done. To make sure that you're considering and you're demonstrating that you care about your staff. And of course, we have from time to time, and we have those employees who share their perspective about their managers, their leaders within an organization to ensure that they're able to produce when it comes to results. And it's a two-way street. The organization wants results. The staff person wants to perform. And of course, they want to be recognized for that as well. So from the employee's perspective, it's always important to consider how each style of leadership looks from the employee's perspective when doing some of the work that you're doing with your organizations. And I know that we have a gamut of different trades of people that are participating on the presentation. So the results-oriented manager may miss that their leader, the relationship-driven employee needs to feel liked, believed, and trusted in order to do their best work. These employees are the ones that are most likely to think, my manager doesn't care, so why should I care? And you don't want to get to a point where your staff is feeling that you as a manager doesn't care not only about them, but doesn't care about the service that you're providing, but rather filling that number as a slot on a sign-in sheet, as a number to check off for service rendered that you're tallying for the end of the year. So you have to be very careful about that. The chance for miscommunication can be just as pronounced when a service-driven manager is paired with a results-oriented employee. In those types of cases, the results-focused employee doesn't need to feel like they're friends with the boss. They are motivated by meeting a deadline or accomplishing a goal. All that being said, that doesn't mean that you should be rude to the results-oriented employee. But the results-oriented employee needs more of interaction, more of a structure, more engagement, rather than just a brief chat at the water cooler. So it's very important that you're providing your staff with substance, with the tools necessary to do the work that they're doing, to ensure that you achieve those results. Any questions to that point? So of course, if there's any questions or you always feel free to type those in. And I know that I'm probably going fast with this concept, and that's a lot of times these topics can get a little wordy and a little verby, but I want to make sure that we try not to go in that direction. But I don't see any comments, so we'll go ahead and keep on with the presentation.
Oh, Christy says,
yes.
Service-based leadership instills value if done right.
Correct. I mean, so right on point. Yeah, I mean, and doing it right, is ensuring that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and ensuring that whatever it is that you're providing is there. So, and of course, you always want to make sure that you're leading for results versus service. So as a leader, you've probably thought to yourself or heard someone else say, you know, I can't tell my boss, um, you know, this because he'll think I can't do my job, you know, when it comes to, you know, a task that you were assigned. Or I understand the process, but the circumstances don't account for my people and what we felt was in their best interest. Or they gave me full authority for developing the plan and working through a project, but you know, then my boss or my manager took it all back, reworked it, and took credit for it. So those are, you know, some of the pitfalls in ensuring that you're doing things right. Is you know, make sure that you're leading for results and not for service, because you want to take into account and value your staff as much as you're valuing not only the service that you're providing, but valuing your client, your participant, your volunteer, your stakeholder, whoever it might be, that is one of your resources for your organization. Um, and all that being said, you want to ensure that you have balanced leadership. So I'm going to ask, well, I'll share this slide. I was going to have everyone to draw it out, but I think we'll have everyone take a look at this slide to ensure that you have balanced leadership. So, you know, establishing balanced leadership within your organization, you want to make sure that you are considering all the different factors, not only your clients that you're providing the service to, you as an organization who has to produce those results, and then of course, who you answer to, which is your funders. You want to make sure that you consider your funders when it comes to balancing your leadership will, and that your staff is producing results as well. So leaders do more than demonstrate leadership attributes like character and competencies. They get results, but they also get results in all those different aspects, all those different areas, and are considerate of those four general areas to become the most effective leaders and ultimately the most effective organization that you can be, to ensure sustainability and longevity. You as an organization want to stick around as much as possible, of course, and you want to make sure that you are fulfilling the needs of your grantors and your funders to ensure that your organization is sustaining itself. And of course, your desired results must serve your stakeholders, your clients, your participants, funders, staff, organization in a balanced way. And, you know, I'm not going to say an equal way, but to ensure that you're considering all of them in everything that you're doing to ensure that you're getting your desired results as a manager, as the leader of your organization, or as the leader of your team. So you can draw this out. I mean, we can send it out, but again, it's just, you know, a simple four pieces in a pie, a quadrant, where you're again looking at your client results, your organizational results. You want to make sure that you're providing your funders results, because that's how your organization operates, and that you're ensuring, very, very importantly, and this is where a lot of organizations forget, is about staff results, and recognizing your staff for those achievements, for those results along the way, so that they can then empower themselves and be motivated to provide the best possible service to your client base, ultimately to your organization, ultimately to your funders. So it's a trickle up and down effect in ensuring that you have a balanced leadership wheel for yourself and for your organization. It's very easy to say what must be done or what should be done. Embodying leadership in your organization in both a quantitative and a qualitative way is very, very important. Again, you know, a lot I've seen in my tenure in nonprofit for over 25 years, whether it was a nonprofit, for-profit, local serving organization, county serving organization, state serving organization, or even international serving organization. The pitfall that they fall into is strictly focusing on the quantitative data, only focusing on those results that they want to achieve and produce, rather than focusing on the qualitative side of things, which is the quality of service that you're rendering, so that you do have repeat clients and you have that word of mouth referral that's happening to ensure that you have a client base that wants to continue to receive not only services from your organization, but so that you also build the volunteer base for your organization to ensure that you're able to provide the services that you are offering to the community as a whole, or to other organizations, or to any other, whatever constituency you might have, that you're you know, looking at it in those aspects of ensuring that you have quantitative and qualitative focuses at the end of the day. So I'm going to share 6 leadership qualities that I believe that the most effective leaders combine to ensure that they have the best possible results. And this is, I mean, of course, it's not something that I made up, but this is part of a lot of research, a part of a lot of different studies, various groups that have, whether they're academic or whether entrepreneurial or corporate based, that have come up with some of these tips. But I do believe that these 6 leadership qualities will ensure that you have, and that you're embodying leadership in looking at both the quantitative and the qualitative way for best results. So first we have is ensuring that, number 1, that you communicate direction and strategy. It's very important that you're communicating effectively with your staff, that you're communicating and being transparent in what the outcomes or what your expectations might be for that particular project, for that particular activity, what have you. So in looking to ensure that you're communicating that direction and strategy, make sure that you have a results focus, and make sure that you have an interpersonal skills focus, which is that servant leadership focus, the service portion of it. So in order to have a results focus, make sure that and to achieve optimal results, you all must see clearly the direction and proceed the strategy to success. A leader gets everyone on the same page, and that's just, from the get-go, be transparent about what your outcomes and what your expectations are. When you're thinking about those interpersonal skills, good leaders communicate with rapport and clear direction to build engagement among those who feel lost. A lot of times you'll have staff that are participating in an event, in an activity, and they're brought in at midpoint, or they're brought in at a very late time, and they're not caught up with what exactly the objective is, or the idea behind the event is. So you want to make sure that communication is happening on a personal level to ensure that you're focusing on that qualitative side of things. Number 2, I think in order for you to be a very effective leader, you must be one of those leaders who motivates and inspires. There was a study that was conducted that says that 78% rate higher on their push for results than motivating and inspiring others. Leaders who combine the two are more likely to see the strategies come to life, pushing for results while inspiring high performance and work ethic. So you want to make sure that you don't only motivate, but you also inspire. So it's that, that comes from that practice what you preach. Don't expect your staff to do things if you're not willing to do them yourself. Okay, ensuring in interpersonal skills. Many workers fail to reach their highest potential, but when employees empower each other through motivation and inspiration, success follows. If you are recognizing the abilities and capabilities of your staff or your volunteers along the way, they will then be motivated and inspired to do better. And that's, of course, something very positive, not only for you as a manager, because you're achieving results for
Sergio, I think
who
you're frozen.
you respond to, or for who you answer to, but as an organization, you're seen as.
We'll work on that. I just sent Sergio a text message. Sergio, you're frozen right now. If you can hear me. Thanks, folks, for posting in the chat. We do know that Sergio's frozen, so we're going to figure this out. One moment. Okay, so I think maybe he's restarting. So I will play a song. Oh, I guess we can continue with Blessings since it didn't finish. Oh, there we back.
Are we
Sergio,
back?
talk real quick. No, I think you're frozen again. Can you hear me, Sergio? Sergio, say something. Yeah, so it looks like Sergio's frozen. We're going to work on this. So give us a moment.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get this figured out. Just bear with us, please, because Sergio has some great nuggets to share. Okay, you look good because you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
Let's unmute you.
I can see everything fine and hear everything fine.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay, so yeah, let's get back up here. So I was sharing my screen at last. Let's get back to that. Can you see that screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I was sharing 6 different leadership qualities that you that hopefully organizations are embedding so that you can have the most effective possible results, not only of course for you, for your clients, but very importantly for your staff, to ensure the best possible results when it comes to service and return customers per se. So I think I left off. Do you know which is the last that was covered on your end, Jen or Minor?
I believe we were on set stretch goals.
Oh, okay. So number 3 is making sure that you're setting those stretch goals, so that you can have your staff motivated and push to provide not only the best possible service, but also an opportunity for them to learn along the way and be as successful as they can be. Because ultimately, of course, we want our staff to be successful, but I think it's always considering that they're building their capacity to ensure that they're providing the best possible service for the client, best possible service for your organization, to ensure that you become that organization that's known for X, Y, and Z, and ensuring that you're looking at having a results focused model embedded into it, and of course interpersonal skill model embedded to that. And ensuring that your staff along the way are always practicing those good leadership skills, and you providing those opportunities for leadership development for your staff, whether it's at a staff meeting, a staff down day, an activity. You give your staff opportunities to lead, to ensure that they're enjoying their work. And that if they're enjoying your work, you best bet that your clients, your volunteers, your stakeholders are going to enjoy participating. And of course, you want to make sure that you create an environment, create a culture in your organization that helps you retain this particular staff. The fourth that I want to share is that make sure that you have the highest integrity that inspires trust. Again, and that comes with transparency. That comes with even if you're having a hard time in a particular area, or there's a budgeting issue, or there's a funding problem, or you might have gotten a bad note from a client that you're always speaking with the truth, and that you're inspiring and getting your staff to trust you as best as possible. Number 5, for me, I think this is the biggest thing, and that's what allowed me to do what I've done. I've been blessed to be able to be a part of such great life-changing activities, events, processes, whether it was for my local community, the county, the state, the work that I did in Haiti after the earthquake, but always help others grow, and ensuring that you're supporting your staff's growth so that they become not only better versions of themselves, but again, it's that trickle down to ensure that if you're helping your staff grow, that you're helping your clients grow. You're helping your clients get out of the substance use situation that you're in. You're helping your volunteer grow as a volunteer, learning the tools of the trade, so that they in turn will one day become part of your staff, or part of course, the solution to the community's problem, and ensuring, of course, that you have both this results-focused way of doing things and building those interpersonal skills in the community. And number 6, I think you have to be a manager, a leader who readily offers and applies feedback. If in order for you to ensure that you're getting the best possible results, address the strengths and weaknesses within open dialogue. Just make sure that you're communicating with staff in the highest possible ethic way, and make sure that you're not only giving feedback, but you're also receiving feedback from your staff, from the participants, from your organization, or anyone who you've come in contact with. So it's that give and take. So you're learning also along the way to ensure that you make the necessary corrections, whether it's with your team, again with your stakeholders, and there's a list of stakeholders that you might have, if you keep those in mind, that you would have the best way of managing and achieving the results that you desire. So, these 6 leadership qualities, when they become intrinsic practices, they build engagement, they build growth, they build productivity, and ultimately success for a positive work culture. And ensuring that you have a positive work culture, make sure that you're having the fun time, make sure that you have the serious time, and make sure that you're incorporating these into a daily routine, so that your staff, your participants, your volunteers want to come back and day after day to provide the best possible service, again, to your clientele. And you're keeping your funders happy, and you're keeping your board of directors happy. You're fulfilling the requirements of the grant. You're fulfilling the requirements of whatever it is that you're working to achieve. So here are some other ways that you can provide staff to provide exemplary service, and I'm sure that you can come up with your own ways. But again, it's leading by example, establishing those core values that define the organization that you are and why you exist as an organization. And make sure that you always start and be very clear up front with your if you're hiring new staff in your orientation, that from the get-go, the prospective employee, the prospective TA consultant, or whoever might be volunteering for you, that they know what type of organization you are, and that you're there not only to receive their services as a volunteer or as a staff person, but also to help them along the way to become a better version of themselves, which at the end of the day helps you become the best possible organization that provides the best possible service. And that's threefold: word of mouth when it comes to the type of service that you're rendering, and the services that you're rendering will either make or break an organization. It's always an opportunity for of course, you, if you're a manager, if you're a leader of the organization, to offer opportunities for capacity building, whether it's a staff meeting or whether it's a leadership development training opportunity, that you're allowing your staff to practice. If it is something that you've learned and are attempting to teach, allow them to practice that, allow them to act it out, whether it's a scenario, whether it's in a play format, however that you're allowing them to practice it on you, practice it among each other before they go out and practice on a client, on a participant, on a volunteer, to work out any kinks in the delivery, because of course we don't want to miscommunicate information when it comes to our stakeholders or to our volunteers, because that could come back and haunt you. And again, I mean, come up with your, I encourage you to come up with other ways that your leadership within your organization can empower the staff to provide the best possible service and the most exemplary service that you can provide, to ensure that you get those, not only the results that you're expecting, but the best possible results, so that you can become that premier organization that you already are. But it's just taking advantage of a different leadership style to ensure that you're considering different things. So I want everybody to, we're going to have a break from a lot of the monotony. Everybody take out a sheet of paper if you don't already have one. And I want you to consider or think about, and if you excuse me, I'm going to grab something real quick here. So grab a sheet of paper, and here are the instructions on screen. So if you already have a blank sheet of paper, fold it in half so that it looks like a note card. I want you to think about a time, whether now as an organizational leader or as a staff person, when you were recognized or praised for going above and beyond your duties to ensure that someone was served. And so you're going to write a thank you note to yourself. You're going to praise yourself for going above and beyond in very specific ways. So I want you to state those specific ways where a client is recognizing you for what you did. If you don't have or have never been recognized in this way or praised by a client or a stakeholder for going above and beyond in a specific way, you can write a hypothetical example. So I'll give you a couple minutes to, again, write a thank you note to yourself, praising yourself for going above and beyond in a specific way. So name the specific way of how you went above and beyond serving the client. If not, write a hypothetical, and then we'll have a couple folks share back. And this is just to break up what we call a state changer, to break up the monotony of the verbiage, but also an opportunity to reflect on you as a person who's been in service and of service. Okay, so I think you've had a couple minutes to write that thank you note to yourself. Do we have anyone who perhaps would like to share what they wrote? And I guess we can either write in the text box or put them up on video, Minor?
Yeah, so feel free to put it in the chat box. Feel free to raise your hand. Sandy, it seems like you wanted to participate, so you're unmuted. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so what I wrote down was, thank you for being so creative and being able to identify opportunities to increase our partnership and extend our work and extending our message in the community.
Wow, that's very specific. That's very good. How does that make you feel, writing it out yourself, and what someone thinks of you?
I guess that is what I feel being one of my strengths in prevention, is making that connection and identifying opportunities that we can extend my work. Because the reality is, we can talk and do our presentations, but I work with like a lot of the pharmacists and pharmacist schools to carry on the prescription prevention work of it. If we can train and talk and exchange and create a new culture in these new future pharmacists regarding to prescription safety, then our work will be not done, but there'll be people along the way that will help in the future to carry on the message after we've stopped.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, so it's not only validating the service that you're providing or the work that you're doing, but it also ensures that you have sustainability and that you have, what we call that buy-in from the person you're providing services to ensure that they're continuing with what you've taught them. Wow, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Okay. Christy, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I said, hi, Christy. Thank you for being willing to serve beyond your clocked hours to allow my family to have Christmas and enjoy when we were struggling. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. So how did that make you feel when you got that note?
Serving is a part of me. So that's, I feel fulfilled. And I don't feel like I don't know if it's not validation because to me, it's just part of what I should be doing. So I'm definitely not a results-driven leader. I am very much a service-driven leader. So it's not what's on the clock; it's who needs your attention.
You strive under the servant leadership mantra.
I do.
And that's your leadership style.
I do.
Which is great. But at the end of the day, there are deliverables that you must meet. So it's just, you do take it into consideration. But,
Absolutely.
I like the way that you pose that you think of your constituency first and ensuring
Yes.
that their needs are met. But remember, you will always consider yourself in some way or fashion when it comes to meeting your needs as well, to ensure that you continue to be able to do
right.
that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So we'll continue with this with respect for time. So everybody has hopefully taken an opportunity to write a thank you note to themselves and praising yourself for going above and beyond in very specific ways to serve your client, your stakeholder, your participant, your volunteer, however you want to state it. And just hold on to that and put it on your fridge. And every once in a while, it's good to look at what you are providing as a service provider, and is the best possible service that you can do. So while we're at it, take out your, I believe before the presentation, you were all sent a logic model. So take out your logic models. And we want to share, that during these times, I mean, these are, unforeseen times, unprecedented times, however we want to state it, that we're living through, something that we've never been a part of. We're all suffering, whether it's as an organization, as a business, as an individual, to continue to offer the services that we want to offer. Because of the current situation with COVID-19. So we'll take a look at the logic model that I provided, which is a results oriented logic model. And hopefully this would be able to help you in looking at and thinking about retention when it comes to retention during COVID-19, and hopefully it's an opportunity to be able to see it on paper and work it out to ensure that you're not losing any of your clients, you're not losing any of your funders, you're not losing any of your stakeholders' attention when it comes to your organization and who you are, so that you can continue to strive. So I'm going to share my screen again, and it's going to be, yes.
Just a time check. It's 3:15.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to share. So I hope everybody has their logic model out, and we're going to look at that logic model so I can explain what it is. And it should be. So if you take a look at the logic model, again, this is a results-oriented logic model, and it's a logic model that we look at in terms of somewhat of a backwards logic model. So rather than focusing on number one, where we would normally look at it, we're going to look at it starting with number 6. But I do want to explain each column. Column number 1 is a section for inputs and resources, and these are the resources that you already have and the resources that you're working with. So during this COVID-19, we're all being impacted in different ways. Your organizations are being impacted when it comes to your clients, for instance, right? So make sure that you do have a section for your clients. You're also being impacted, and I think this is where you're being impacted the most, and that's staff. Staff is being impacted, and also make sure that we include our stakeholders, which would include, let's see, volunteers. It would include, oops, and forgive my spelling. I'm the worst when it comes to typing on the spot. Volunteers. It would also be, let's say, our funders, which we've already talked about. Partners that you might have, which is your collaborative organizations, and so forth. Okay, so those are your inputs. Those are the resources that you have that exist. Number 2, pretty straightforward, is what activities you'll be doing. Number 3 is the outputs. What are your immediate outcomes? Number 4, your indicators. What tools do you have at your disposal to make these things happen? Number 5, you have your outcomes, which is your short-term goals, and then you have your long-term goals. And then, of course, at the bottom, we have your impacts, which is number 6, which is where you would indicate your statement of need. So as an example, we have A, which is your clients. What is our statement of need for our clients? Ensuring, let's say that ensuring that clients are keeping, let's say that therapy appointments, right? That could be your statement of need for your client. So if we're looking at that statement of need for our client, what activities are we going to do to ensure that that client meets those appointments? What tools do you, I mean, let's look at what tools you have at your disposal. You have social media, you have phone, you have email, you have Zoom, right? And of course, that'll be covered under social media. So a lot of times with this logic model, you can work on it backwards so that you can end up with the same results. But it helps you to just go back and forth between each so that you can fill it out. So let's say that one of the activities that I'm going to be very specific about is host a Zoom meeting. Simple, right? For you, it's your outcome is client met 2 times a month. Pretty simple as that. Your short-term goal for that would be that, your short-term goal would be client is adhering to the meeting agreement. The longer term is client has now graduated from the service and is ready to move on for whatever is next. You would do the very same thing for the impacts on your staff. What is your statement of need for your staff? So you want to, for your staff, for instance, the biggest thing that everyone, whether it's a business or a nonprofit, is ensuring that your staff is working. So that would be one of your outputs. One of your outcomes is to ensure that staff keeps working, right? So, and of course, the indicators, the tools that you'd have for that would be pretty much along the same lines. You're using social media, you're using phone, you're using email, you're using Zoom, you're using WebEx, you're using even your office, but you've arranged your office now in a post-COVID way to ensure that you're meeting those social distancing guidelines. So start with, I would recommend that you start with your statement of need first and work your way backwards and fill it in wherever you can. It'll give you some ideas. But again, this is a results-oriented logic model to ensure that you're getting the best possible results for your clients, your staff, your stakeholders, and your stakeholders can be, again, your volunteers, your funders, your partners, and I forgot your board of directors. And of course, this could mean also your bosses or what have you in that sense. I know, and again, a lot of this stuff can get very wordy, and I can get very wordy, but I want to turn it back over to Minor so that we can wrap it up. And of course, if there's any questions, always link it there, but I will also provide my contact information if there's any questions that I haven't answered or anything that you might be curious about in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sergio, for your presentation. Let me go on ahead and share my screen. So we want to give a very special thanks to Sergio for doing such an amazing job. And his contact information will be sent out along with the pre-test, post-test, and workshop evaluation and Sergio's presentation. So thank you so much, Sergio, for joining us and for just doing an amazing job. And if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to send them to Jen Harris at southbayprevention@gmail.com. And so next week, registration has already closed, but if you've registered, look forward to understanding the T in LGBTQ. On Tuesday, you'll get general information on problem gambling disorders. On 5/13, you'll get human trafficking and commercially sexually exploited children for service providers. On Thursday, you'll get vaping, smoking, cessation, and COVID-19. And on Friday, you'll get a workshop on mindfulness. So registration for week 6 will be available tomorrow, and we'll be sending that out. And these are the workshops that are available. And just keep in mind that, unfortunately, Growing Prevention at this moment at on May 22nd will be ending in quotations, but look forward to many more opportunities to join us and help grow prevention overall. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this was a fruitful workshop for y'all, and yeah, give it up for Sergio.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone. Wow, yeah, thank you so much. And I'm used to a classroom-based style, but we made it work. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Have a great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your Friday.
What's up, Sergio?
What's up? How you doing, man?
Good, and you?
You good and relaxed?
Yeah, well, right now, the kids are calm. My suegra here, so.
I'm burning up over here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we still got it, folks on the.
Yeah. All right.
Marlon and Sergio,